So here we are with the Rogue and Villains pack, and we're gonna get it all painted up. I've already primed it gray to give it, as you can see, a good base to start on, and that's all I really want to do is just get these. And you can't really see them that well, but I'll zoom in here. There's the Millennium Falcon. Oops, let's not get too close. And some of the other ships, you get Slave 1. There's just a bunch of stuff here. So they came in various different colors, so I decided to just make them all gray. You got the YT 2400, the HWK 290, the Skullgurg H6 bomber, of course Slave 1, or they call it Fire Spray 31 here. Slave 1, same thing. YV 666 and the Aggressor Assault Fighter, along with the Jumpmaster 5000. So what we're going to try to do here is we're going to get these dried up here, and then we're going to start putting some we're going to get them all painted up the best you can. They're really small. I mean, if you look at my index finger nail, they're no bigger than my nail. Yeah, they charge $13 for these guys. But they're worth it quite a bit of points. Like the YT 1300, which basically Millennium Falcon, it's worth 26 points. I mean, that's quite a bit. The YT 26 is 16, 24. Let's see, Slave 1 is worth 26. So I mean, these things are pretty powerful, and they get some dice. So I'm kind of curious to see how they do in battle. But the thing is that I wanted to get them painted up first, which is the most important thing. So that's what we're doing here. At least I don't have to say frigate. I butchered that in the opening video. I don't know what it is. I just can't say anything lately. Maybe because I'm real tired. I'm overtired. But I wanted to get these guys done before the weekend, because I've got major painting with the Blood Rage stuff that I'm going to be doing. So I wanted to get these done, and I wanted to get a couple things done. We just got done playing Catacombs. We ran through the new version. Of course, my version came without a manual, so I had to download it. The reason we didn't tape it is we're trying to, for once, make sure that we got the rules down before we tape it again, so we don't screw everything up as badly as we have. So I think you're going to see this guy as a burnt orange. I believe this guy will be burnt orange. We're going to do a Hauser green with a gold on this guy. We're going to do some washes on some of these guys and see what we can bring out. And let's see how it all turns out. Alright. So for the YV66 what we're going to do is I'm going to just take a very small amount of water, put it in there, try to water it down and get a good consistency here. And what we're going to do is move these guys out of the way so I can get my bullseye here. And I'll zoom in here a little bit for you guys. Whoops. And you'll see that all I'm going to do is just go over the gray, and you can see how that burnt orange just gets right in there, especially since you have the primer in there. So we're just gonna, and you know, I know a lot of people want to go exact, as in you know, just like the movies or whatever, but you know, I'm just gonna wing it here with a lot of these things. I'm gonna go by some of the cards and some of the things that I've seen, and just I'm gonna wing it a bit. So the burnt orange is pretty bright, as you can see, but we're gonna dull that down with a good wash. This is kind of like almost a base in a lot of ways. The primer just kind of helps us stick the paint on there, and all we're doing here is we're making sure that we get over it. And the gray doesn't dull it down any, but it does give us a good base that we can work with. So all we're doing is just going over these areas. I'm hoping you guys are seeing this, not my big meat hook. And there we go. So that's this guy. I think we're going to do the same thing here, because this we're really going to dull down. So the burnt orange would be a good basis for it. And though it'll go on the gray pretty bright, I'm not too worried about that starting off. So we're just going to take, and we're going to go over it. There we go. And just kind of work that in. There we go. And we're really gonna work these engines a bit too, where we get a nice big, we're gonna get the result that we're looking for. So let's just get underneath the ship here and cover that area, cover that wing, and there we go. Easy peasy. Alright, so I know what you're saying. Oh god, that's too bright and this, that, and don't worry about it. Trust me on this one. I haven't steered you wrong yet. So we're going to let that dry to dull down a bit. In the meantime, I think we could probably work on a few other things. So according to the picture that I've seen of this, it's pretty much mostly a Hauser green, which is, oh, almost, yeah, Lily, a forest grain. And she's got to let you know everything that we're doing. So we're going to try to work that a little bit. And the way this works is it almost is like the burnt orange, and then it's got a gold covering around the outside there. So we're going to work the Hauser green first. There we go. And you don't have to be too particular with this, because we're going to go back over it again. And that's where we're going to get a lot of our, as much detail as you can with something this small and on this scale. But I always felt that if you did it right, it'd come out pretty good. So what we're going to do is just come back here a little bit, and I think we're just going to take a wash to that to darken that up. There we go. And then we'll take a little more of that Hauser green and we'll work it right over here, so we have good balance. There's the window, but that's going to be a brass or almost a gold, the way it was depicted. So we're going to leave that like that, let that dry up, and we'll come back to that as well. Well, next we got the old favorite here, the Millennium Falcon. And for me, one of my favorites. And one of my favorites to paint. and we're just going to take, and we are going to take some new oil, and we are going to dirty this bad boy up. We're going to get that working in there. Look at that. Boy, look how quickly that changes that gray primer. And then from there we'll highlight until we can't see anymore. And I'll just get it in there. And boom. Just like that. Get that in the windows. There we go. We're going to do the same thing for the 24. Basically almost same type of theory when you're doing this ship. And we'll make a few adjustments here or there. We'll throw a little sapium on there. Some sepia. And all we're doing is just moving this wash around. And you can see where this is where when you put a good coat or a good undercoat, you don't lose any of the detail. I mean, you really don't. Let's see if I can get that in there a little bit better. There we go. I mean, you're not losing any of the detail there because it's going in, and your primer that you primed it with is just, it sits over it and doesn't lose any detail. Look at all that detail in there. And we're really going to work on some of that. See, I can actually run my brush here and pull it off, pull some of it off, and use it for the other guy here. And these last couple of ships, this is all we're going to do is we're going to, well, it's not all we're going to do, but this is like a quick, hey, here we go. Now we got you based and we got you primed. We can just kind of give these guys some life here, and that's just making sure that you can give that dimension, because if you didn't do this, I mean, these things are just, I mean, they're as white as anything. Let me back out. I hope I didn't lose too much there. There we go. Okay. I mean, you can see that, I mean, pretty much this is how they come without a little bit of gray primer that I threw on there. But when you throw that wash on there, now all of a sudden you see that, you know, they did a real nice job in detailing these, and that they should be painted. You know, take the time and do it. It doesn't really take that long. And you can see I'm just working my shade around, taking up the excess, moving it on to another ship. And that's all we're trying to do here. Boom, 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 boom. And you can see that we're doing pretty good with this. And oh boy, there we go. There we go. Alright, so let's let them dry for a bit. Once those dry, we can come back and start working on some of the other stuff here. Alright, the next thing we want to do is get this burnt orange and darken it up real good. And the best way to do that is wash over it with some Agrax Earth Shade. Just a perfect shade for this, and it'll just take in, and you could see right there just that little bit what it's doing and how that's darkening up exactly what we want. Just a nice brownish overtone, but we don't want to wash out. There we go. And we're going to work that into the bottom part like so. And let's just wipe some of that off there. It doesn't cover up the green part that we painted, because on the ship it had 2 green areas there, so we want to keep those nice and condensed. So let's move that over. And let's get to the hawk here and darken that up. Give it more of a brownish look instead of what we got going on here. Alright. So let's let that dry. And we got our slaver that's still wet. We'll close that up. And what we're going to do is we are going to take a very, very dark gray. And we're just going to put a little dab there. And I know this isn't going to affect much here. But I mean, it's not going to stand out as much, but I'm just going to do it anyways. Let me put down my little trusty helmet here so I can see. And all we want to do is these little exhaust things, and we want to really kind of get the dark gray in there. I know that's kind of hard for you guys to see, but traditionally that's the way that looks. Now what I always think is the most important highlight here, and you can see I left that area pretty much unpainted, is we want to add in the engine color. We're showing that it has some kind of propulsion. So there you go. Now you can see how nice that little Falcon all of a sudden starts coming out to be. Okay, now that we did all the rest of the engines and stuff like that, gave these guys some propulsion, which is always very important. I've got, now that Slave 1's dry, we're just gonna do the same thing like we did with everybody else there. Get a little bit of shade on there. Make sure we get in all the grooves. Yeah, Lil, I'm trying. And you can see it's just bringing out a lot of that detail on the Slaver one. And sometimes I just take a little bit of that, especially on the Millennium Falcon. If I got a little bit of that, I want to get a little bit of that rust feel, because you know how banged up she's been in every battle. And I'll just throw a little extra on there. You spread around a little here and there to give a little wear on all these guys. It's okay to mix washes a bit. And we're almost home. We're almost home. Like I said, these are not going to be something that's going to look perfect, but they're going to look a lot better than they did on the table. And you're just, all you're trying to do is just really just kind of do some basic colors on them. Get them to where you feel comfortable with them. And that's pretty much all you can really do with them. What are we looking for? Oh, there we go. Little. There we go. Close that up. This is some of this folk art metal. That works out pretty good. And we're just going to go over and give Slaver 1 a nice brass window. And you can see that this is just good enough for what we want. And I think that's all we're really looking to do. Just get it to that certain point. So let's clean that out. And then for the final touch, is we're going to break out our red. Now this is going to be a little hard for you guys, but I think you guys can do it. Not this part that we're going to do right here. Oops, wrong red. That's corn red. We want true red or I can't say anything today. I have not been sleeping lately. I don't know what's the matter. Mephiston red. There we go. And they have two little areas here, and you're just going to dot and dot. And there we go. Let's just show that up to you real quick, and you can see I got the red in there for there. And then the last thing we want to do, and that is take some of the red, make sure we spin it really nice, because this line is going to be hard to do, but there's a line here that you can actually see it. And if you just take the edge of your brush and rub up against it like I just did there, yeah, let's do that so you can see, you're going to get that red line that you want to get in there, and that'll be perfect. You see we got the engine squared away, we got that squared away for the Jumpmaster 5000, and I think that's about it. If you see all these guys, they're perfect and they're ready to be played. We just gotta find out how to use them, and we'll get them all. We'll get all their little cards on them and everything, and we'll give it a go. We'll see how they do against this monstrosity. Look at the size of this thing. This thing is a very big ship. I should have got two. Actually, I think two would have been too much. I can imagine what these things do. But Home 1's pretty big too, so I wouldn't doubt their power either. So that's it. That's how to paint the Rogues and Villains expansion pack. Very simple. Just a lot of washes, good gray undertone, and just throwing a little color on there to darken them up and get them in the right amount of color so you can differentiate each unit. So it's late. I'm gonna upload this, and then boy, I'm gonna get some rest, because tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and then I start a very long weekend of painting, taping, and playing games, and getting it all up on the site here. So that's it for tonight. Rogues and Villain expansion pack. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please let me know. And just to show you again that this ship is about the size of my thumbnail, so they're not very big. So don't expect to get a ton of detail on them. But like the Millennium Falcon, even though it's my thumbnail, you know, you get the retros in there, you get the little gray exhaust ports, you get a good wash in there, and you know, you can even go over it with a little bleach sand to kind of bring out and take away from some of how dark it went. I mean, I definitely think I might do that and show you guys later. But right now, this is just a basic on how to do it, and I think you guys got a good idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. So with that said, have a great night, and we'll see you in the next video.